Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Kim with Creative Crafticality, and today I am working on my spring / Easter, mostly spring, but you could use them as Easter journals. And so I have this really cute Peter Rabbit little golden book. I have this Peter Rabbit scrapbook collection that I picked up at the Ontario Scrapbook Expo, and it's from Memory Place. I'll try and link down below if I can find them online. I think there's some websites that they sell on. I have this little bundle of 5x5 Peter Rabbit quilting squares, and these were from Amazon. I'll put a link down below, but I'm going to try and incorporate these. Sorry, I'm going to try and incorporate this fabric on the back of the cover. And so in this video today, I'll be showing you how to make a little golden book junk journal cover. And then in the next video, I'll show you how to put your book together as far as the pages and putting the signatures into the cover. So I've made videos like this before, but I thought I could just do a new one for spring and for 2025. So yeah, this is a super cute book. It's a Peter Rabbit, and it's from 1970, yeah. So yeah, a super cute book. It's got some damage, some coloring on a couple of the pages, but it's not too bad. Nice way to upcycle books like this is to make them into junk journals. So that's what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna pull this to the side and we'll go ahead and get started. The first thing you want to do is decide if you want to use the whole width of the book, including this little strip here. That's what I'm going to do today so I can take advantage of the width. You can just cut it right here. That's what I've done before. And really you have to look at the cover and decide how much of it is on this left side, because when you add your spine to your journal, you have to use fabric and go over a little bit onto here. So this one would actually work well because there's not a lot right here, and the title of the book starts over a little bit, so you could add like a ½ inch of fabric. And you'll see what I mean by this when we add our spine on. So, but I think I'm going to be trying to keep this here, and I'll add a little piece of reinforcement where the little divot is on both sides. And you also need to determine if your book is in that good of a shape, if it holds up. So actually I should wait and see until after I get my book apart. So the first thing we need to do is work this off. So let's see, I usually try and hold the one side and try and pull it apart here. I just slowly working this. Now these are held together by staples. So I'm trying to just initially get this staple apart, and if I can't get it apart like this, just basically pulling it, then we'll have to try a different method here. But I'm already kind of cracking this. But if I can get it in good enough shape, then I will definitely reinforce. I think I'm going to try and get the staples out a little bit better here. All right. You have to feel for the staples, and I don't really have I have just these wire cutters, and they're already damaged, so I'm not worried about them getting messed up. But I'm just digging out this part here to expose the staple. And I don't know if you can see that, but there's one little end of the staple. that's up, so I'm going to pull the other side up. Kind of use my nail, but you want to be careful doing that, because then you might poke underneath your nail, and that really hurts. Let's see. Pulling it over to the other side and exposing the staple on this side, and that way it'll be easier to get it out. So I have one side already. As I said, it depends on your book. Some are easier than others to get the staple out. Grabbing some pliers. I'm going to see if I can push this end through the other side. I don't think I can. Oops. Well, that didn't work. There, I think I am able to push it. Really, this is one of the harder ones I've done. And of course it happens to be the one that I am doing on video. We'll get it. There, I got it through a little bit more. All right. Pulled the one end through. See if you can see that. So now I'm going to pull this. Goodness. Okay, got that one. Okay, let's see what we can do here. Gonna kind of try and pry this open a little bit more so my other end will be easier. Expose this staple. You can feel the staple, that's why I'm going through here. So you know where to pull away the silver part, or the metal sticker that they put on here. And then got up one end of my staple. Go ahead and get this one exposed. There we go. All right, see if I can push this through. I'm basically just putting my pliers around the staple end and trying to push it down. Not push it, but I guess push it. I don't know what. Yeah. Not through yet. I think I need to expose it a little bit more on this side. Okay, I'll be back when I get the rest of this done. Okay, I got the other staple out. And normally it doesn't take me that long, but it did on this one. So now I'm just opening this up and I'm going to pull my pages out. This one has a little bit of glue, I think. Yeah, a little tiny bit of glue. And if you didn't know, little golden books have 2 signatures in them. And from my knowledge, they all have the same amount of pages. Pretty much all have, unless you have one of those little golden books that has several stories. But this one has 2 signatures, and I'm trying to find the middle, and it's slightly glued. They kind of glued the 2 signatures together, so I'm pulling that apart. So there's 3 pages. So what I mean by pages is the 2 sides. So I guess that would make up 6 pages, but 3 double-sided. I guess I don't know what the technical term of that is, but there's 2 sets of those, so 2 signatures, one first and the second. So I have those ready to go. Those will go in my journal. I typically use all of the pages in my little golden books that come in the book, and then I add in other pages from different books or different kinds of pages like graph paper, plain paper, dyed papers, music sheets, things like that. You know what I mean. If you make a junk journal, you kind of know what those things are. So we have our book here, and I'm going to go ahead and cut this down the middle. You can use scissors. I'll just go ahead and use my scissors, I think. And sometimes this will just pop right apart, but this one is not. And I will trim any extra pieces off. So there's a little bit extra here. I'm going to turn it on this side and go ahead and trim that off. All right, and then I'll do this side. Kind of stuck on the side there. Just got to pull it up a little bit more so I can get a close cut. Could use a razor or like a box cutter or a precision little blade, you know what I mean. But I got my scissors today. Okay, that's good enough. Okay, now what I want to do, I might try and get some more of that, but for now, that's good. I want to add some pieces in this little spot here on both sides, the little groove, just to reinforce that edge, because I don't want it to be flippy floppy like that when I go to open my book when I'm finished with it. I want it to be nice and sturdy there. So I have some, it's like a thick, it's not chipboard because it's not quite as thick, but it's just a really thick cardstock. It's brown. It's going to be covered up anyways, but I can cut a little sliver and add that into each side. And I'm just going to cut probably 1/8 of an inch. Little sliver. Let's see, that might be too wide, but I need a new paper trimmer blade. think that's a little too wide. Let me change out my trimmer blade and be back first. All right, so this needs to be a little less than 1/8 of an inch. That should do it. I'll double check and then go ahead and cut the rest of my pieces that I need. Yeah, I think that will work. So I'm going to cut 3 more. Comment down below what it is you are working on. Are you working on Easter or spring journals, or I don't know, what else could you be working on? I just finished up 4 different Alice in Wonderland journals, so if you want to check those out, they're in my Etsy shop and I'll have the link down below for them. I also did a flip through video for them so you can see what they look like, but I think they just turned out so cute. And if you're an Alice in Wonderland fan, you would probably love them. Okay, now I'm taking my tacky glue and my little pieces and I'm going to start gluing them in. And I am going to cut this down a little bit shorter, but I'm going to put a line of glue in that little divot. Kind of went out the bounds there. And then I'll put my piece of paper right down in there so that the cardstock will give it some stability, as well as the glue will harden and make it a little more stable as well. And then when I put my fabric on, that will be even a further stability. So got that in there, so I'm just going to trim that off. I'll let that dry for a little bit before I turn it over to do the other side, and I'll go ahead and do this one. Do the same. Comment down below what your favorite kind of junk journal is. Do you like doing the little golden books? Do you enjoy like Reader's Digest books or any other kind of vintage book, or do you just make your own covers? Do you do soft cover? Do you do hard covers? I kind of enjoy doing all of them, but I know I do a lot of little golden books because I enjoy children's books so much. I also like doing journals with, I make them out of board games. So I've done Candyland. I have some other board games that I want to use to try and make like a fun, I thought maybe I could do, I'm going to let that dry a little bit over here. I think this side is good. I can turn it over. I want to try maybe doing a life game, or I do have a Chutes and Ladders board game that I've saved. I also thought Scrabble board game would be fun, and do those into like a game night theme and just add in all kinds of different board game ephemera into it. I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you think that would be a good idea? Okay. So this is just, you want this to be thin enough so that it sits down in that groove and makes it like the same height, and then it adds the stability. And then what you could also do is add another piece of paper on top of that. Not sure if that's what I will do or not. Maybe. Might just go ahead and do that, I think, just to make it a little more stable. Oh, I have one more. I'll let that dry for a little bit and do this one. Okay. As I said, this is an optional step. If you just wanted to cut it and just cut this part off, you can. And sometimes that you then would have to make your book pages shorter, so you would have to trim off the side or trim it off here and then sew your pages or attach your pages before you put them in the signatures. But this, doing this eliminates that step, because sometimes your books, the stuff goes all the way to the end, and especially if you want, especially if your words will go way far in. Like this one's okay because there's space, but then you're, you know, it depends on what you want to chop off the end. Or you could fold your pages, but you know, there's lots of options. So it's just whatever your preference is. Okay. I think I will add a little piece connecting these two to add even more stability there. I think I will make it 1 inch. And I don't know for sure what thickness of cardstock this is. It's, to me it seems like it's maybe an 80-pound, because it's thicker than your regular. It's definitely not 110-pound. That wouldn't, that's like super hard. Or it possibly could be 65, but it seems like it's thicker than that. All right, I'm gonna stick this down, and I'll put this part on the inside, and go ahead and like glue. Let me know what ways that you make your little golden books. I've done it where you just add binder rings and you punch holes in the cover, and then you just cover this end with fabric. I've done it that way, or with paper. But if you want it, you know, that's an easy way to do a binder or to do your journal. Yeah, that's gonna make it nice and stiff. Okay, I'll do this one. glue on my fingers. All right. Okay. Now, lay out my cover. You want this on this side because, of course, your book will be like this. And I like to lay out this just to see. You need to decide what width of a spine that you want. I do 1 inch, 1.5, 1 3/4, up to 2. I've seen people do 3 inches. That's like a really fat book, but it's just whatever you like. I think I'm going to do 1.5 inches on these because I have pretty good amount of pages for these books. And I believe I have 2 signatures. So 1.5 inches is good, or 3 signatures. So I have this one, this chipboard that is about the thickness of my cover. So it's pretty stiff. And I'm going to mark my chipboard. I am going to grab my box cutter and my self-healing mat, and I will cut this with that. So I'm just marking down here where I need to cut. My mat here. A ruler and my box cutter. I'm just going to line my ruler up. This has a metal edge on it. Oh, I'm moving. Just really have to, oh man, just not steady today. Trying to hold it down so it won't move. Didn't do a very good job of this. I'm going to use this end because this end got a little chopped up. Could be that my blade's not that great. And it is really stiff, so all right. Yeah. It's not the greatest. It needs to be trimmed. Okay. That's fine. Okay, now I'm going to line it up on my line here. And I'm lining it up at my 1/2 inch, or no, going over 1.5 inches and lining it up the top there. And this one also has it down at the bottom so that I can get it straight. So let's see if I can get this without messing it up. That's better. Almost there. There we go. Okay, got a nice piece there. Okay, so that's what I'm going to be adding. Now I have my fabric. And I'm going to be using this for my, I'm hoping, let's see. Yeah, there's enough so I can do it this way. So what I'm going to do is, this is going to go over, and I'm going to completely cover from this point all the way back. So I'll show you what to do. Turn your fabric over. Now we're going to be flipping this. I'm going to line my it's going to go here and here. This is just an estimate right now, but I'll lay it there. And then I'll lay my spine piece, leaving just a sliver there because you'll want to be able to fold your book. And then the same with your back piece. I should have moved this over. So we're moving this over so you can actually see. There we go. Okay, so I have it laid like that. And I'm just going to go ahead and cut my fabric off. And you want to leave, I usually leave like an inch all the way around because I'm going to be folding my fabric in. Like that. Now I can trim off some of this. It doesn't need to be that long or that much. I'll make sure I have an inch down at the bottom and then an inch at the top. So I'm going to cut off this at the top here. And this fabric's nice because it has the line of the pattern, so it's easy to cut. Okay. So now I have my fabric. I'm going to turn it back over, start with my front cover, and I'm going to glue down my fabric there. I'm going to take my glue, and you just need to decide how far in you want to go. I'm going to go just right past the little divot there. And go down with my tacky glue all the way. All right, then I like to spread it out with my finger. You could use a brush too if you wanted, but this just assures that there isn't big globbies that you can see through the fabric, and it also makes sure that the adhesion is all the way. Okay, so now I'm going to line this up, making sure you have that inch on both ends there. And push it down. I'm going to turn it over just to make sure it's straight. It looks like it is. And then now I'm just going to lay it like this. And I'm going to put glue on this piece now, our spine piece. Go all the way down. Do the same. Smooth it out with your finger or something else, a piece of paper, brush. I've seen some people use Mod Podge to do this step. You can do that too. I personally like the tacky glue the best, but because Mod Podge just seems to be really watery. But it's just up to you what you're used to. Yeah, I left a little sliver in there so it can be folded. It's just a little bit over. Make sure you're lined up at the top and the bottom. And then I'm going to turn it over and make sure it's all nice and flattened out. There's a piece of there. Okay. Just smooth out the fabric. Make sure there's no wrinkles. Turn it back over. And then we're going to put glue on the back cover. So same thing. Let me know. I know I'm doing this in real time. Let me know if you prefer this or prefer me to do voiceovers and speed things up. It's just, you know, I know some people like longer videos, some people like shorter and sweet and to the point with the voiceovers, but then some people don't like it sped up because it's hard to follow. Hopefully this is okay for you. Okay, and I do go through a lot of tacky glue. Okay, spread this out. Gotta spread it quickly so that it doesn't dry in little lines. Turn it over and you're going to line it up with the little sliver amount next to your spine piece and push it down and then turn it over and smooth your fabric out. Now this is a pretty thick fabric, so I can't really see the stuff that was on the back of the little golden book. If you do have a thinner fabric and you can see it through there, I usually just take some white matte paint and do a layer of paint on it, and that covers up. It makes it like a little primer, and then you can't see that. And see, I've got some little bubbles here, which I don't know why. I'm gonna pull see if I can. No, I can't. Okay, that stinks. For some reason, I've got, oh, I can't do that. Okay. I'll get them worked out. Okay, I'm going to add some glue because I tried to pull that up and it pulled some of the paper off the back of the book. That's not good. Okay, this will be fine. I'll get those worked out later. I think when I pull my fabric, it might pull that out. So now you see here we've got the nice bend and everything. So now we're going to go over to this side, and I like to cut off my corners a little bit, leave like a 1/2 of an inch from the corner to that. Just kind of cut this. It just eliminates some of the bulk that will happen there. Now we're taking our glue again, and I'm going to start by putting a little bit of glue on the corner. With my finger, go in and then pull your corner over like that. Make sure it's flat there. Do the same down at the other end, the other corner. Now, starting with either the one of, take one of the sides and you're going to add whatever side, add glue to that side. And I usually go in the same width as my, like an inch. Use my finger and do the same. So basically do that on all three of the sides. Then you're going to pull your fabric in. Nice and tight there. Push it down. Oops. Go ahead and work on this top portion here. And then do the same thing. Go ahead and pull your fabric nice and tight so you get a nice clean edge. Pull it over. And this will be covered up. If you want to trim a little bit more off, I probably will, just so there's not so much bulk there. That, and then I'll do my bottom. Got a lot of glue on my finger. Okay. All right, get that. Trim some of this off again. Okay, now I'm going to pull my fabric back in here, and I'm going to put a section of fabric on the spine part. So I'm just going to do it from this piece here to the end of my fabric. And I'm going to cover this whole piece up here. I'm going to trim this off. Need that much. This doesn't matter because I'm going to cover that up with paper. So it looks like this. I'm going to cut it here. All right, let's see here. And then looks like if I cut it here, that will be perfect length. Okay, now I'm going to add glue. I need to get rid of some of my glue peels here. There. Okay. Start putting glue, and I'm going to go to that edge. So start up at the top here. And I'm going to do this in sections. So I'm going to do this kind of like in three sections of the height of my book. Oops. Okay. Spread this out. And I know there's lots of ways people do their journals, how they put them together. This is just the way I like to do it. Some people use the, like that tape, I don't know what they call it, the binder tape or whatever, book binding tape. You can do that. I just like the look of the fabric, and it adds the same amount of stability as that. So just smooth down to where you put your glue, and then we'll add more. All right, then the last section. Go all the way down to the bottom of your book. If you don't get this quite right, you can trim that after it dries. That's when I like to trim it. And then I always put my finger where the little fold is, just so that it doesn't puff out. And I kind of fold it that, so it looks nice. Okay. Now, I'm going to cover these with paper, but first I want to glue my ties into the cover of the book, So I will be using more of my fabric, and I'm going to cut 2 pieces per side and sew them together to make my tie. Now you could use ribbon, so then you wouldn't have to do this step. And I'm not sure, I think I can use this whole length. It's going to be long, but it'll be nice to have the tie to be able to tie a bow or whatever. So what I'm going to do is tear, I like the torn look. And it looks like I already tore this in, so let's see. I'm going to make it about 1 inch wide. So I'll just make a little slit and then go ahead and rip. And I'll need 4. Just make sure I get the right width here. Now you can't do this with every fabric. Some fabric doesn't let you rip, but this one does, so that's good. Let's see, kind of going for kind of in the middle there. Okay. Now, so I will be taking these 2. I'll clean up all that thready mess, but I kind of like that. It makes it a little more texture, but I put the back sides together, or the wrong side of the fabric together, and I will do a zigzag stitch all the way around. I'm not going to show you that. I'll just do it off camera and come back, but I'll do that for both of my ties. And then also, I want to pick out my paper for my back covers and sew pockets on those. So I'll go ahead and pick my paper out now and cut those down, and then I'll do all my sewing together. And then we're almost done with this cover. Okay. Oh, also, I'm going to be putting some of my fabric on the back. Let's see. Where did that go? Oh, there it is. Okay, so I liked this fabric out of my Harry Potter fabric. Which piece? I think maybe I like this piece the best. The reason why I only have the 5-inch squares is that I couldn't find this at the store where I could buy like a half a yard or 1/3 of a yard. And to buy it online, you have to buy a lot. But this was this was the best deal as far as getting smaller pieces, and I got a bunch of different pieces. So now I just have to figure out, I think maybe I might sew around, just kind of make a stitch around here. I do want to put something back behind this, so I might sew this to a piece of paper and then glue the whole thing down so it looks like I stitched it onto here. But really I didn't know exactly where this was all going to lay out before I glued it down, so otherwise I would have stitched it on there. But I would rather it not, I would not be able to see this back behind it, but I do want to add this in there, and I might add some of the fabric within the pages as well. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, now on to the pages. decide what I want to use this because I guess it's this way. I have a matching or coordinating piece, this one right here, that I'll be doing my first signature in. So I think this one will look nice. And it goes with the blue fabric as well. So I'm going to use my pencil, line this up with the front. Line it up with my front edge and then a little bit over the fabric and just mark that off there. And then do the same here. Line it up to get the height of the paper that I need. Lining it up at the top. And then marking it here. I'm going to trim this off. So this will be my front there. I'm going to pick a coordinating piece to make a pocket, and then this will go here. I think I'm going to trim this down just a little because I have, I want to be able to see that fabric on the back. Just trimming like 1/8 of an inch off. There, that's good. Now, pick out some paper to go. This is a double-sided paper, but I'm not going to use that side. This also has cut-aparts in it. So it has tags, which is really cool. Little ones and big ones. And that's, I think, double-sided as well. There's a couple sheets of that. And there's that one. It has that. And then that's on the back. I don't know if I want to use... I might want to use that. Do I want to? No, I don't think so. So this is the fabric, or the page. I think I'll use this for my pockets because I'm using this piece as my first signature booklet. So I think that'll be a nice pocket as well. It'll tie it in. So I think I want to go with, I'm just marking it here. About that height, so I'm going to mark it down here, and then I want a little bit of the pocket, like the paper, to show around, so I'll go right to about there. So go ahead and trim this. So that will be a pocket there. And then this is a little bit shorter on this side, just a tiny bit, but I'll mark it where I want it. There we go. All right, so I'm going to take this over to my sewing machine. I'm going to sew. I'm going to do a zigzag all the way around and catch that pocket down in there. And I'll do that on this side as well. And then I'll sew my fabric strips to make my ties. And so then I'll come back and we'll finish up this cover. All right, have my pieces sewn. Here's the back. See, I did a stitch all the way around. This, I didn't have as dark of a blue as I wanted, but I have a lot of different colors. I just didn't have enough of that. So I just used a lighter blue, and I think it'll be good. So I did both of those. First, I want to glue my strips on. Here's what I did there. Sorry, my hands are a little dirty with glue, but that's what I did. I'm gonna pull these. Oops. Didn't mean to do that. Cutting the little fraying parts off here. Alright. So I sewed that. What I'm going to do is just glue in the middle about an inch in my tacky glue. Like that. And then glue my page on. Oops, there's a, cut this extra stuff off there. Now this is a cardstock, so I don't need to smush the glue around, but I do want to make sure I have a consistent line all the way around the edges so it does stick down. Alright. I am going to put a little extra here just so I make sure that that is good and stays in nicely, and then just line up along the edges. Smooth it out. All right, there's the inside cover. And I am going to add some rickrack here. I just like to add that to the inside. But first I will fold it and find the spot where I need to put my other tie. I want it to be right lined up with the one on the front, so I'm just kind of putting my finger right in the middle of that, and I can double check it later. Oops. I moved my paper. Okay, gotta pay attention to what I'm doing here. Darn it. It's fine. I think it's a little long though. I'm gonna trim it when I get done with after it dries. Okay, let's do that again. So that's the middle there. So I'm going to put about an inch both sides of that, and stick my other piece on. This one I need to trim. I need to pull those scraggles off, but there we go. And then pull them together just to make sure they are lined up. Looks pretty good. And then we'll glue this back page on. Oh, I forgot to put some there. It'll be fine. I think I have enough on the page itself, or the paper itself. It'll be good. All right. So there it is. Now I'm going to add my rickrack. Okay, I have this rickrack here, so I'm going to cut it a little bit past. I'm going to do it on both sides. And I'm also going to do it on the outside. So I'm going to cut 2 more. There we go. Those will be for my outside cover. And I'm just going to put my tacky glue, of course. Just put a line down right on that edge of the paper. And we'll let that dry before I cut it. All right, they are dry, so now I'm going to go ahead and trim them off. Turn it over and go ahead and glue the rickrack on the outside. And this is totally preference. You could use ribbon or just leave it as is. Rickrack is just always my go-to. I think I'm clogged here. All right. Kind of like this little fringed edge, so I'm going to go in a little, well, let's see. I'll just go over the top of it. I just need it. My glue is almost gone, so I'm trying to get every last bit out of it. There we go. And do I want it on the back? I don't need to because I don't have a seam. I suppose I could just, so I can see a little bit of the back of the book there, that yellow, so I'm going to cover that up. Not necessary, but sometimes I'll do a different fabric and then the spine would be a different fabric. But on this one, I have that panel that I'm actually going to put down. So I'll do this and then put that panel down. Now I'm going to put this down. All right. Should be able to clip this. Oh, should have waited a little tad bit longer, but that's fine. All right. There is our cover, guys. Now I will be doing a tassel like I always do, but we will do that in another video. I might do, well, the next video I do will be putting together the pages and putting those in the book. And then I may do a separate video of making embellishments. But this is it so far, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Give me a thumbs up if you did. Leave me a comment and subscribe. And I'll see you again next time. This is Kim with Creative Crafticality. Bye. God bless.